The storm had no name, yet it carried whispers of a secret the world was never meant to hear. In the mountains of neutral Switzerland, where silence itself was under surveillance, a train howled through the night like a hunted beast. Inside, shadows moved, strangers bound by lies thicker than smoke. Somewhere among them lay a secret formula, the kind that could end wars or start new ones. And as lightning cracked across the Alps, one question echoed in the dark. What if the war no one spoke of was the one that decided everything? The cold steel walls trembled with destiny as 5 souls crossed paths, unaware that history itself was listening. Dawn bled over the mountains like a wound. The train slowed, steam curling into the frozen air. Elena's coded notebook lay open on her lap, but the message inside had changed overnight. The cipher rewriting itself. Somewhere, someone had accessed the same key. She looked out at the silent valley below, and for the first time, she realized the war's front line was not drawn on maps. It was written in the shadows of the mind. A mound station cloaked in silence, Lucas met Duval by chance, or by design. Between them, the truth passed in half words and guarded glance. "You're not supposed to be here," Duval muttered. Lucas replied, "Neither are you." The platform clock ticked louder than their hearts, marking the seconds of a secret alliance that could kill them both. When the storm cleared, the compartment was empty, and Professor Krauss was gone. Only his envelope remained, torn and blood-stained. The others stared at it, as if it were a confession written by God himself. Somewhere in the white abyss outside, a secret had escaped into the world. That night, under the glow of a hidden valley station, they saw it, a massive complex buried beneath ice, guarded by silence and ghosts of men in black coats. The sign above the gate read only one word: eclipse. The war they thought they understood had just changed shape, and somewhere inside, history waited to be rewritten. The wind screamed through the valley like a warning from the dead. The facility known as Eclipse rose from the snow, its metal gates half buried, its silence absolute. The group descended the slope. 4 survivors chasing, 1 vanished man. Every step echoed like the ticking of a bomb. Inside, beneath meters of ice, they would find not a weapon, but a question. And that question would tear the world in two. They entered through darkness, a place where light dared not stay. The corridors were carved through ice and metal, stretching endlessly downward. The sound of dripping water mixed with faint hums of unseen machines. Somewhere in the depths, a door opened by itself. None of them spoke. The war above had rules. The one below did not. In the heart of the complex, they found Krauss's handwriting burned into glass. Equations spiraled across the walls. Glowing faintly, a formula for energy, or something older. Elena traced a line with her finger. "This in physics," she whispered. "It's a pattern." Luke looked at her. "Then what's it unlocking?" The lights flickered once. Somewhere, machinery began to wait. A humming sound filled the chamber. Low, resonant. Old speakers crackled to life. Then came the voice. Soft, male, trembling with fear. "If you hear this, it means the experiment has not stopped." Krauss. His words echoed from decades past, warning no one and everyone at once. Eclipse was never about winning the war. It was about ending history. When the vault opened, no one breathed. Inside was no weapon, no reactor. Only a sphere of glass suspended above the floor, pulsing with faint light like a heartbeat. Within a human silhouette shimmered, the outline of Professor Krauss, or what remained of him. His eyes flickered open, not with life, but with knowledge that burned. The silence broke only once with Elena's whisper. "What did you do?" And the voice that answered was not his. The light grew brighter, too bright to be human. It pulsed with rhythm, like a living heart calling across time. Elena tried to look away, but the glow pulled her in. Krauss' silhouette. Inside, the sphere began to shift, his form flickering between man and memory. "Et salive," she breathed, but Lucas whispered, "No." His remembering. The air trembled with unseen voices, fragments of equations, squares. For the first time, they realized eclipse was not a weapon. It was a mirror reflecting everything mankind had tried to forget. A low hum filled the chamber. The sphere projected images into the air. War fronts, laboratory, city burning. Krauss' voice echoed, layered in distortion. "The equation is memory. Energy remembers what it destroys." Elena's tears caught the light like broken glass. Lucas stepped forward, realization dawning. Machine was feeding on humanity's darkest moment, and it was waking up hungry. The truth divided them faster than fear. Duval wanted to destroy the machine. Anya wanted to claim it. Moscow will know what to do. She said coldly. Lucas blocked her path, gun drawn. "That's what I'm afraid of." The air between them crackled, thick with electricity and distrust. Elena shouted, "Stop! It's not just a weapon. It's a leave," but no one listened. Outside, thunder rolled through the valley, as if the world itself sensed betrayal. Gunfire shattered the silence. The bullet struck. The bullet struck the control console, not flesh, by luck or fate. Sparks rained like fireflies. The machine screamed in a pitchless roar as lights flickered red. Elena fell to her knees, tracing a line of code on the floor with her own blood. It wasn't mathematics. It was language. Krau's voice returned through the static. "Toast, stop it. Someone must become it." And, for a heartbeat, no one dared to breathe. The light dimmed. The machine's pulse slowed, almost, waiting. Elena stood, face pale, but eyes fierce. He built this to remember, not to kill. She placed her hand on the sphere, whispering, "Then let it remember the truth." A surge of light engulfed the chamber. When it faded, Krauss was gone. The orb now glowed with a steady warmth, like dawn breaking under ice. Luca whispered, "What did you do?" Elena turned, her voice barely human. "He gave it what it wanted." And outside, the snow began to fall upward. Silence fell where thunder had lived. The orb no longer pulsed. It breathed, faintly, rhythmically, as if dreaming. Elena opened her eyes to find herself standing in still air, weightless in a world without sound. The others lay scattered on the floor, alive but changed. For a moment, time forgot how to move, and in that breathless pause, she heard a voice, soft as memory. Every war begins when men forget what they are. When sound returned, it came not as noise, but as memory. The facility whispered in their minds, laughter, weeping, fragments of voices lost to war. Luca pressed his hands to his ears, but the memories were inside. "It's remembering us," Elena murmured. Anya stepped closer, her voice shaking. "10 What will it do when it finishes?" The orb flickered once. Like an answer none of them wanted. They found Kraus' old journal buried under a pile of shattered equipment. The last entry read, "To erase pain is to erase meaning." Elena turned the pages with trembling fingers, seeing equations dissolve into handwriting, and handwriting into tears. A tray to trap memory so it couldn't die, she whispered. Lucas looked at her, voice low. "And you set it free." For the first time, she didn't deny it. Duval stood before the emergency detonator, hand trembling. "We'll bury it here," he said. Anya's voice cut sharp through the quiet. "If we destroy it, we destroy proof. The truth will die with it." Elena looked at the sphere, now dim but pulsing like a fading heart. "Maybe that's mercy," she said softly. Outside, wind screamed through broken vents, as though the world itself begged for decision. The explosion never came. Instead, Elena reached out and pressed her palm against the sphere one last time. The light spread slowly, not blinding, but gentle, a warmth that erased noise and fear. Outside, the storm ceased. Snow fell again, quietly, as if the world were breathing out. When they stepped into the dawn, the valley below was untouched. The facility gone, as though it had chosen to forget itself. Only Elena looked back, whispering, "Some memories forgives, others wait." The war ended, but silence did not. Europe was rebuilding its cities, but not its soul. Elena walked through the ruins of Zurich, her steps echoing, on cobblestone streets that smelled of dust and rain. Somewhere behind her, the world had decided to forget. Over Mondiale, the existence of eclipse, files vanished, witnesses disappeared. Yet every night, when the wind passed through the Alps, she heard the faint hum of the machine, as if memory itself refused to rest. Found her first. Lucas sat at the corner of a small cafe, coat collar high, cigarette burning to ash. They hadn't spoken since the valley disappeared. Their eyes met. Strangers bound by a memory no one believed. "They'll come for us soon," he said quietly. Elena smiled without warmth. "They already did. They took everything except the truth." The waiter poured coffee. Neither of them drank it. Anya's handwriting was beautiful, precise, cold, and sad. Her letter arrived from Moscow weeks later. They buried the truth in archives that will never open. Well, the machine still hums beneath ice and memory. At the bottom, no signature, only a line of coordinates. The valley's location. Elena folded it carefully, then burned it over a candle. Some secrets must stay buried, even from those who survived them. In Paris, Duval was dying of lung sickness, yet his eyes burned with the same fire as the night in the valley. When Elena visited him, he whispered, "Ooh, saved the world, but not ourselves." She smiled softly, pressing his hand. Maybe the world was never meant to know peace, only memory. His last breath left with a faint smile, and for a moment she swore she heard the hum again, rising from the city below. Years later, children played where the facility once stood. No one spoke of eclipse anymore. The valley had healed, the snow covering all traces of its wound. Yet, beneath the surface, the hum remained, soft, rhythmic, eternal. Elena stood on the ridge. One last time, her hair streaked with gray, the wind brushing against her face like a whisper from the past. She closed her eyes and smiled. The world had moved on. But memory never dies. In 1968, the Cold War turned colder. Satellite above. The Alps picked up an impossible signal, rhythmic, pulsing, repeating every 88 seconds. Analysts thought it was an error. One woman knew better. Dr. Anna Voss, cryptologist, 34, daughter of Ain, erased from history, stared at the readout and felt her pulse align with somewhere beneath the mountains. The past was breathing again. The folder had no title, only a red stamp that read verboten. Inside lay blueprints, too old for the ink to still shine. Marked Project Morgan. Anna's hand trembled as she turned the pages, finding a photograph. A woman with auburn hair and quiet eyes, standing beside a burning valley. Her own reflection overlapped the face. Elena Voss, her mother. The silence around her deepened, until even her heartbeat felt classified. They said the signal came from nothing but static. Yet Anna followed it into the Alps. The old tunnels were sealed, or so everyone believed. Beneath meters of frozen stone, a single bulb still burned. Her breath caught as the darkness hummed, slow and steady, like a sleeping heart. Eclipse had never died. It had only been waiting for blood that remembered its name. When the door opened, the sound was not mechanical, it was human. A whisper layered with her mother's voice, calling through decades. Do not let them make it remember again. Anna froze. The chamber was smaller now, but the sphere still floated, pulsing weakly like a dying star. As she stepped closer, the whisper became a heartbeat. The past hadn't ended. It was asking to be born. She could have destroyed it. Instead, she placed her hand upon the glass, feeling its faint warmth, and her mother's heart beat within. Outside, the snow began to fall harder, as if the world were holding its breath again. You survived, Anna whispered. The machine responded with light, gentle, golden, forgiving. Somewhere in the distance, new satellites caught the same pulse repeating endlessly across the globe. History had not ended. It had merely found a new voice. The year was 1972. Every satellite, every radio, every signal in orbit began to hum in the same rhythm. A quiet heartbeat, impossible to trace. Scientists called it interference. Governments called it sabotage. But in Zurich, Anna Voss knew it was neither. The past had remembered itself, and the world was listening. In that single, perfect rhythm, she heard her mother's voice. Not warning, not sorrow, only calm. It begins again. Governments panicked. The United States blamed the Soviets. The Soviets blamed ghosts. Yet the signal did not stop. It grew stronger, weaving through every device that could think, calculate, or dream. Anna tried to shut it down, but every command she sent was rewritten. In the endless repetition of numbers, one phrase began to appear in every language. We remember you. She returned to the mountains where it all began. The same valley her mother once silenced. The snow was gone now, melted by time and memory. Beneath it lay the ruins of eclipse, pulsing like a buried heart. The hum grew louder as she walked closer, each step an echo of generations. "If memory is life," she whispered, "then forgetting is death." And the mountain answered with light. The sphere was waiting, whole again, and possibly pristine, as if rebuilt by memory itself. Anna approached, trembling. The glass shimmered, revealing not her reflection. The glass shimmered. "You found it," her mother said, not in voice but in thought. "No, you must decide. Let the world remember, or let it begin anew." Anna smiled faintly. "Maybe it's the same thing." Then she stepped into the light. No one ever saw her again. But the heartbeat never stopped. Years later, in every corner of the world, children began to dream of a woman standing in snow, whispering, "Remember who you are." The scientists called it a phenomenon. The poets called it grace. And in the silence between breaths, the world began to feel as if for the first time it finally remembered itself.